Okay, I think I'm live. I'm already seeing people in the chat, which is nice to see. And yeah, hello everyone. I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving break. I hope you spent time with family or just had time to yourself to just, relax and fill up your belly with turkey and all that good stuff that comes with Thanksgiving. Thank you for tuning in. It's always nice to, take a little break from the YouTubing and speak to you guys. And I see, that a couple of you are already here. So think about your questions, drop them in the chat. In the meanwhile, I'm going to go to Patreon, see what people, what questions people left in the comments there, the ones who couldn't make it. And then I'll get back to you guys very soon. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. I already see there's a couple people who have left a question. Hold on, let me log into the thing so I can actually see the questions. Okay, there we go. First up, we have Shuckle Shuffle, who says, would Fallout 76 be worth playing as a free-to-play game? If so, how unlikely is it that Bethesda would make that change? In its current state, it's just not a good game right now. In its current state, it's just broken. It's pre-alpha at best. I mean, anything's worth getting for free, I guess. So, people who are curious about Fallout 76, if it were free-to-play, they would probably be more inclined to check it out at least. I would not pay $60 or $30 or, I don't know, even $20 for this game in its current state. It's just too dysfunctional. Like, the pieces just don't come together. I think conceptually, it's just poorly implemented. The technical aspects, I mean, this is Bethesda's worst launch yet on a technical front. It's just... yeah, it just needs a lot of refinement, a lot of adjustments. It needs to be finished, is what I'll say. They released the game, I would say, a year too early. It honestly needs that much work. And I find it baffling that, given this is their first online game, they host a beta like only 2 weeks before the game comes out. And they think, they'll be able to fix all of the issues when the game is in that state. It just the decisions that went behind this boggles my mind. Now, in terms of how unlikely it is, or how likely it is that Bethesda would make Fallout 76 free to play, I feel like they're not going to do that. It's kind of like how Destiny, like it's still, you still have to pay to play it. Like, they did announce that it would be free for a limited time, Destiny 2, recently at BlizzCon. But, I think once that time limit's up, you have to pay to play it. I think they're going to go that route. Like, I think it's prudent for them to maybe go free to play, but their microtransactions aren't robust or appealing. I feel like not a lot of people are buying fucking atoms for $20, to get a fucking blue, as Angry Joe put it in his review. Yeah, the prices are ridiculous in the store. The game doesn't function. And even if it were free to play, I wouldn't go back to it. It's just not a good experience to have, regardless of whether you can access it for free or not. So, but who knows what will happen in the future, if they'll be able to build the game up to a point where it's semi-decent. But right now, it's just bad. It's real bad. And, yeah, I get the sense Bethesda's not gonna free to play this. I think they might do like a limited run of get Fallout 76 for free, but I think they want to make money from the base price, $60, or the discounted price of like $35 for Black Friday. So yeah, it's just this isn't an MMO, so it's hard for me to foresee them going full-on free-to-play, going that model. So that's my prediction, but who knows, honestly. This game's such a disaster that Bethesda might deem that the only way to recover from this is by going free to play. If they did, I'd be, you know, surprised, honestly. And it might bolster the player base a little bit, but if they go free to play, that also means that they have to elevate the microtransactions because they have to make money somehow from keeping the servers alive and all that. So there's the conundrum. So that's, you know, that's what I can say for now based on my own insight, but I honestly don't know. I couldn't tell you for sure. That's just my guess. Next up, we have Dennis Surveys. He says, in a video you cover the Spyro Remastered Edition. Your sources said that they needed more time to get all 3 games on disc. They got more time, but so far I've been able to get is that only the first game is on the disc, and game 2 and 3 need to be downloaded. Have your sources touched on this subject? Yeah, this is strange. I reached out to the source, and, you know, they are indeed, like, legitimately working on this game, and I cannot say much more than that. I don't know if it was some miscommunication where, you know, the impression was, oh, well then, now that it's delayed, it looks like we can try to fit all the games in one disc. I'm not sure what happened ultimately, but I think in the final disc, I heard that the first game's all there, and then like parts of the second and third are in there, like the first few levels of each, but then you have to download the rest of 2 and 3. Or some weird, stupid, convoluted shit. So, honestly, I don't know what happened behind the scenes. I'll try to reach out again, see if they can provide more insight, but this is baffling. It just doesn't make sense that they cannot fit all 3 games in there. I mean, if they could fit the Crash Bandicoot trilogy, I don't see why this is so much more trouble. You know, if they at least communicated and provided a proper explanation, then maybe we could kind of overlook this, but the fact that they're just staying silent about this, and this is just a game industry issue in general, it's just they don't communicate with us. They let us assume all this shit, like, why is this the way it is? And, you know, the theories go wild, but that's their fault for not clarifying anything. The reason CD Projekt Red, at least, people can trust is because they are always keen on communicating, saying this is how it is from their perspective. And even if we don't agree, or, you know, even if we don't always agree with CD Projekt Red, they at least lay out what's going on. And so we can be more confident about approaching their products and coming up with a reason as to why certain things are the way they are. Whereas, whereas Activision and EA and all these other companies, they don't give a shit. And Bethesda with Fallout 76, they're not communicating. They're not telling us exactly why things are the way they are in such an unacceptable state, you know? So, but yeah, I don't know what went on behind the scenes, but I'll see if I can find out more. It's weird. It is really weird. Laurie. User Laurie asks, how much of your time goes into voice acting stuff? Is YouTube your main work? Yes, YouTube is my main work. It is sort of basically 95% of my current work load. As for voice acting, you know, I'm currently involved in an indie game that is still developing, but the voice acting stuff's kind of taking a break, so, you know, I'll have to wait until more stuff's sent to me. I'm working on, like, Skywind, the Elder Scrolls mod that's trying to bring Morrowind into the Skyrim engine. So I'm doing that as well. So I'm dabbling in it. I'm not like going full on pursuing this career as a professional yet, but in early 2019, I'm hoping to move to LA and get settled there and kind of try to dip my toes into that realm because I love acting. I miss it. I did it for like 7 years and then I stopped because I just couldn't do it anymore due to YouTubing and how busy that's become. So yeah, for Lori also asks, tell us a little bit about your history, how you ended up in LA. So I'm not in LA yet, but I'm making plans. I'm making sure I've, financially that I'm stable enough and all that. And that's all. In the last year, it's been phenomenal. The channel's really kicked up a couple notches in terms of viewership and subscribers. So I'm much more financially stable than I was even a year ago. So I have, all of you to thank for that. And it's just great to see this community grow. And, I'm now at a confident place where I can go to LA and live comfortably while still being able to do YouTube and hopefully dabble in voice acting. So, yeah, I haven't ended up in LA yet, but soon I'll be there. I need to get out of the sort of the nest, if you will, and see what the rest of the world has to offer. As for a little bit about my history, I don't know if you were just referring to LA or just like my history in general. But I mean, I guess YouTubing wise, I've been doing this for almost 7 years now. Yeah. And it took a while for my channel to pick up, but I always have fun doing this. I love the community, the kinship. I love talking about games. Unfortunately, lately it's been more, kind of controversial shit because, well, the industry just cannot seem to help itself. Bethesda, what pisses me off most about Fallout 76 is that it's Bethesda, one of my favorite game studios that's kind of lost a lot of goodwill with what happened recently, but yeah, so yeah, I hope to keep doing this even after I move to LA, but I also want to dream bigger and lend my acting chops to video games if I can. I would love to voice act in a game and see where that takes me. We'll see what happens. Next up, Duncan Leishman asks, were you heartbroken when Jason took to Twitter after your chat to undermine you? What do you think the future holds for traditional games journalism? I think they're naive to disregard YouTube game coverage. I turn to you, layman and CLS, etc., because I want to hear people speak their mind and not hide behind the wider agenda of an outlet. First of all, was I heartbroken about the thing Jason did? No, I wasn't heartbroken. I was kind of taken a little aback. Like, it was kind of like, really? This is what you want to post right after we had a very productive conversation? I wasn't like offended or anything. I was just kind of like, why? Why are you doing this? This is just the worst thing you can post after an amicable discussion. The thing that got me most about that was that the conversation shifted from talking about the talking points in the discussion. It went from that to, oh, look at Jason, and it just became like an us versus them thing again. Like, he just caused the rift for no tangible reason because he saw a comment that he didn't like and made a big deal about that and generalized, as he tends to do, just generalized like, oh, this is the comment section that I'm looking at, so everyone must be like this. This is gamers. Which I'm like, that's just a shallow way of looking at things. There were plenty of other comments who were providing a lot of great insight, saying, oh, I agree with Jason, or I agree with Yang, I agree with both. Both sides made good points. There was some productive conversation happening there, but it seems to me like he focused on just like some sour apples that I'm not approving of. Like he can't. Unfortunately, that's the YouTube landscape. Like, there's going to be toxic comments, and that's unfortunate. But to focus on that instead of the discussion we had and trying to look for the feedback that actually matters and bringing attention to idiots with toxic comments, like, why? It seems baffling to me that that's such a big focus instead of trying to just get information out there and provide insight and bridge the gap between these various outlets rather than form a bigger rift, which is what ultimately upset me about the Twitter post, is that it just opened up the rift again, which is counterintuitive to the discussion we just had. As for the whole notion of they are naive to disregard YouTube game coverage, because, you know, people like to listen to people who just speak their minds. I couldn't agree with you more. I don't think it's safe to say that YouTubing should be the main source of news and that games journalists with access should disappear or anything like that. I think both offer something different, right? I mean, the journalists with access offer sort of a deeper insight in a formal way with protocol that yeah, that just makes everything a little neater. That just isn't just like whatever. Just let's just get this out there. They at least the good ones at least get out there and do the coverage and sometimes look deeper and provide insight that the YouTubers couldn't because we just don't have that kind of access. But then on the other side of things, YouTubers, I think, provide a level of connection with the gamers and being able to provide a voice for people who feel similarly as the YouTubers do, because the YouTubers are just gamers. Honestly, they're not journalists. I don't consider myself to be a journalist. I'm a dude who likes to look at the news, lay it out there, tell you what I think about it, and see what you think about it. That's ultimately what my whole shtick is. So, yeah, and I think that does have a place in games coverage. Just expressing what this makes people feel. And again, because the gaming industry is so bad about communicating, it's just, what are we left to do but to kind of contemplate for ourselves what this could all mean? Is this signaling a bad future for a certain company? Is this a good thing? Whatever. There is a place for that. Because sentiment matters as much as knowledge, and I think journalists can provide a lot of knowledge, but they lack the sentiment, the relatability with consumers who don't have their access, who don't, you know, don't get special treatment. You know what I mean? And, you know, YouTubers occasionally get special treatment. Like, I was sent that thing right there. But to me, that's irrelevant. Like, I don't give a shit about companies sending me stuff. I just care about their games being good and that we're headed towards the right direction. And, yeah, just getting that sentiment out there. Not just being sanitized with, you know, oh, following protocol. Like, that has a place. But for the YouTubers who can just speak their mind, just say, fuck this, in a way that journalists can't, I think that is important, because without that, I don't think we would be seeing companies take a step back on some of the more predatory stuff, like Battlefront 2. I don't think if it was just journalists saying, oh, this seems like pay to win, this is not ideal, rather than gamers going, fuck you, EA, you're insane. How do you think this is right? What makes you think you can do this to us? Like, without people going like that, there's no change. Without somebody like actually protesting and getting angry, and angry is, yeah, sometimes it's a very healthy thing. Like, we're humans. We can be angry. We can be happy. We can be whatever, you know, and there's a place for happiness. Like, when a game is good, God of War is amazing, people are happy. When something like Battlefront 2 happens, yeah, we have the right to be angry. And that anger should come across so that game publishers know, or, you know, game studios, game publishers, whoever, so that they know this is not acceptable. There is a place for that. And there's a way to do it without resorting to threats and without all this other bullshit and nonsense. The toxic, the insults, the stuff that isn't productive. There's a way to do that without that, for sure. But to say that anger has no place, that it's poisonous, that it's... Nah. I don't subscribe to that bullshit. Anger has its place. Just as YouTubers have their place and journalism has its place in painting a broad picture, a much clearer picture of what is going on, ultimately. We need multiple perspectives, not just journalists. We need the YouTubers to relay their feelings that more often than not seem to match consumers' feelings as well. I spent a lot of time on that question. But yeah, that's my basic rundown of what happened with Jason and what I think about YouTubing and just being able to speak out in general. Jade Rose asks, let's see. Do you have a favorite Christmas time drink, alcoholic or no? I'm a sucker for Snowballs and Baileys in hot chocolate. Do you have any shows, games, or music you revisit for the season? That's all I can think of for now. Thanks for reading my question, and stay warm. We've got some cold months ahead of us. Indeed. Stay warm, everybody. I don't have a favorite Christmas drink. I just suck at alcohol in general. Like, I don't know my beers, my drinks and stuff. I think I know, like, Long Island. I think that's a drink. I think I like that. Coke and rum is always like a good just easy go-to. I like Fireball, you know, like the cinnamon tasting drink, liquor. I'm clueless when it comes to drinks, so I'm not, yeah, I wouldn't say I have a favorite Christmas drink. But while you're on the topic of hot chocolate is by far one of my favorite beverages when it's served right. Like, you know, the Starbucks hot chocolate is garbage. It just tastes like Granny's diarrhea or something. It's just bad. It's just diluted and horrible. But there's some bakeries and whatnot that make really good, badass hot chocolate, and that's the best. So, yeah, and especially in cold weather, I love just a good, nice cup of hot chocolate. Any shows, games, or music I revisit for the season? You know, I know, like, some people do, like, oh, every Christmas I watch this movie. I'm not into, I don't know, I guess I'm just not into traditions like that. I don't really revisit stuff, I just look forward to new stuff. So, not really. I'm sorry that's such a boring answer, but yeah, I don't... Yeah, just play whatever I want to play, whatever music I want to listen to, or watch whatever movies or shows that are on. I don't, yeah, revisit anything. But yeah, thanks for the question. The answer wasn't particularly compelling, but I'm not too heavily into, like, traditions, if you will. Like, you know, like, I do Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I celebrate certain holidays, but I'm not, like, hardcore, oh, every Christmas I'll watch Nightmare Before Christmas or something like that. But, you know, if the TV pops on and there's a Christmassy movie that I kind of like, I'll stay tuned and watch it. Let's see, what else do we have here? Replicant Booth. Do you know why Bethesda hasn't considered utilizing the id Tech engine for its open world titles? It just may not be compatible with what they're going for. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a game engine expert. I don't know what goes on behind their creation engine versus the id Tech engine. It just may not be the right type of engine for not just, like, an open world, but also the scripting for enemy behavior and just the general open-endedness that Bethesda games offer versus the id Tech stuff. Maybe it's just not as tailored to RPG as, but I don't know, I could be wrong. Let's see, I don't know what games the id Tech engine has brought about. Let's see, id Tech. Yeah, like, it seems to focus heavily on, like, third person, like Doom and stuff like that, which may not be ideal for the hybrid first-person, third-person RPG style of gameplay that Bethesda's going for. What I do know is, look, whatever is going on behind the scenes with Bethesda, something needs to be done about their tech. It's aging very badly, and whether that comes in the form of a new engine or a massive overhaul of the existing engine, something needs to change, because, you know, like, Fallout 4 just, it wasn't the big step that I was hoping it would be in terms of technology. And then Fallout 76 was a regression on every front. So I don't know what it is exactly they need to do. I don't know if id Tech is actually appropriate for what they want to do, if that would actually solve all their problems. All I know is something's got to change soon. Let's see. Danielle Andruzzi says, sadly, I cannot make it today because I'm working, but I want to ask, what do you expect from Joseph Ferris being back at the Game Awards? Ha ha ha. Joseph, of course, is Mr. Fuck You Oscars from last year's Game Awards. I think he'll probably announce a new game, honestly. Like, it's been a year since his old game came out, and he's probably going to liven up the mood somehow with a brand new announcement. Whatever that may be. But no, the game he made was genuinely good. You know, he kind of came off really weird last year, but ultimately his game delivered, and you know, I'll give EA all the shit in the world, but the one thing I'll praise him for is that program that allows them to hire indie developers and give them all the funds to make the game, put it out there, and they make all the profit. Like, it almost sounds like charity. I wonder, like, what does EA get out of this other than the promotion from their logo being attached to it? But so far, that program that EA has been kind of pushing for, that's the one thing about them that sounds good, and that's what Joseph Ferris leveraged. And the game that came out, the what is it called? Joseph Ferris game. A Way Out. There we go. So yeah, that game, you know, very consumer friendly. Like, you can use one copy and play with your friends. It didn't cost $60. It was like cheaper, like $30, I believe, or somewhere around there. So I hope that his next game will be like that, passionately made, great consumer practices, and good quality. So we'll see what happens. But mainly I'm just looking forward to see what crazy shit he says, though. Let's see, Spark Bomber. Hey, just wanted to express my thanks for your work. Thank you for saying that, Spark Bomber. Quick question before I go snooze in NL. Any chance you might speak a bit about the flood of asset swap FPS zombie games currently on Steam? I'm also curious to know what inspired you to take up independent game journalism. Yeah, Steam, they need to find a way to filter out the garbage, because it makes it hard to find the good stuff. It's kind of like the mobile marketplace. There's just so much garbage. It's such a cesspool that even though I'm sure there's a couple mobile games that are like legit good, that are not predatory, that are really well made, that stuff's hard to find. So I don't know what the ultimate solution is. All I know is that, yeah, the asset flip, the flood of just like whatever, of trash and garbage is hurting Steam big time. And I hope they'll resolve that soon, is all I can say. I know, like, Jim Sterling talks a lot about the garbage that Steam spews, so... And yeah, I couldn't agree more with the notion that it needs to be cleaned up. You know, imagine going to, like, a Walmart and just seeing all this, like, all this garbage, you know, like, lined up, and it's impossible to find the products that are actually legit and good. It's just like that. It's just, it makes shopping hard. Because everything's just kind of, it's like needles in haystacks. The good stuff. As for what inspired me to take up independent games journalism, mainly, like, YouTubing, I came about by accident. I just kind of, like, tried it, and then it turned out to be fun. It was mainly, like, a thing that I had fun with. And I've always been, like, a huge gamer. I've always loved, like, discussing about games and the state of the industry, or specific games and franchises like Zelda and Metal Gear and all these things with, like, my brother, who's also a gamer. So I just kind of, like, took what I normally do, like, privately, and then put it out there on YouTube. Just talk with other people. With strangers, if you will, but... And then, yeah, at first it was basically me covering specific games, like Skyrim or Metal Gear. But then eventually I started noticing kind of, like, how... The trend, the horrible trend I was seeing with the industry. And then I dabbled into that a little bit at first, and then slowly that began to really take a prominent shape on my channel. And, you know, a lot of people notice, like, it draws in views, so it must be for the views. And, you know, if you want to believe that, you know, that's your prerogative. But I genuinely feel an urge to just get this out there, get this off my chest, because it is bullshit, some of the stuff that's going on out there. And it sucks that that Battlefront 2 couldn't realize its full potential, because there was a solid basis there. It's just all the extraneous bullshit that EA shoved in there that ruined it. And I couldn't just stay quiet about that. And now that I'm, like, focusing on some of the less ideal elements of the games industry, I feel like I'm just seeing more of it. I don't know. And so I have to speak more about it because there's so much of it now. And it's just, I feel like it's getting worse, though now it's been a bit of a regression from the games industry front, because people are actually speaking out and pushing back. But yeah, it's just, I feel like if I don't talk about it, it's just gonna get worse. And I know I'm not like one of my videos is not gonna influence the world or anything, but I'd like to think that that I can contribute something to it, to the voice, to the conversation, so that we can make it loud and clear to the games industry folks that you can't keep pulling one over us and expect us to stay quiet, or expect that nobody will bat an eye. So yeah, I'm genuinely passionate about speaking for the games industry, because I love games and I don't like the way things are going. It's just, I'm losing passion for it. Like, I used to be able to look forward to, like, everything, and now it just feels like there's only a few select things that I can look forward to, and everything else, it's just like there's a seed of doubt in my mind as to, like, what's the catch. Like, nobody should be thinking constantly what's the catch. And so that's primarily why I took to my current job, I suppose, to talk about what I love and to talk about what I hate about this medium that shaped my life. And it's just one man's opinion, as I always say at the end of my video. You can disagree with me, of course, but know that my intention isn't just to rile up for the sake of just causing rampant anger that comes out of nowhere. I feel like most of what I talk about does come from a place where the games industry fucked up or willfully pissed people off, like knowingly did so because they could make a little quick buck on the side. And I don't believe in letting that stuff fly, or at least not getting it out of my chest. So that's that. I'm sorry, chat. I know I'll get to you soon. There's more questions here than I expected, but I'll get to your stuff. Vidya Bros, the Big Z boy here. Great Mega Man costume, by the way, the one that you showed me. Do you have any plans on doing a well-thought-out review of Smash Bros. Ultimate, similarly to how you did for Spider-Man back in September? We'd love to hear your thoughts on it when it comes out. I'll see about that. I asked Nintendo if they could send me a review copy, and they said, oh, but you're not part of the creators program, so no. And, you know, I wonder at that point if I should just enjoy it for myself. The reason I don't review every game is because I feel like if I became a game reviewer that has to, like, review every single game, I would stop enjoying games. Because I would get into this, like, I wouldn't be playing games because I want to play them, but because I'm forced to do so to keep up with a schedule. I don't like playing games that way. I play games based on my mood. Sometimes I'm in the mood to play, you know, like Spider-Man or God of War. Other times I'm in the mood to play Red Dead Redemption. Other times I want to go online and play with friends. Like, I don't want to feel like I'm forced to enjoy a game at a specific schedule. So, which is why I don't review everything. I'm not a game reviewer. It ruins... I don't know. It just feels like somebody steering me towards playing a certain way or during a certain time, and that ruins it. So I'll see about Super Smash Bros. That series is very dear to me, so I might just enjoy it for myself. But if I really want to talk about it after playing it, I might do so. But also, Nintendo is ending their creators program later. That's still up right now. One of the reasons I don't make as much Nintendo content is because they would probably claim my video, because you know, they have this weird stipulation about how YouTubers should handle all this stuff, and I'm not gonna let them control how I do my content or let them claim any aspect of my own work. So yeah, for this one, I'm leaning more towards no, but we'll see what happens. Let's see. Setsubo Billy. Yo, it's your boy Jin here. Hey there, Jin. Glad you could leave a question. How about that chat with Jason, eh? It was quite a show to watch for sure. Not sure if anything is in the works, but it would be cool to see if you have more chats like this with other folks. Kind of harkens back to the good Kodak days, you know? What are your thoughts on how your debate with Jason went down? Was it overwhelming at all? Have you come out with a different viewpoint on the topics you discussed or on Jason? And how folks in the field cover gaming news as a whole, or how you fellow YouTubers do the same? Overall, I thought it went well. I was nervous leading up to it because I had no idea what his intention was with this. But, you know, we discussed back and forth in private and determined sort of the topics we wanted to cover. And, you know, Jason went way off script on certain parts, but, you know, during a discussion, that shit happens. I'm not, like, mad about that. And, you know, I don't think I could, with how the conversation moved so fast, I couldn't say everything that I wanted to say, but the basic points that I wanted to cover came forward, and I hope people, you know, can look at that conversation, see both sides, and kind of get something out of it. I don't want this to be about, oh, boxing match between Young and Jason. I don't want it to be that. I want it to just be, here's two perspectives, and you decide for yourself what you personally get out of that. Yeah, I don't want this to become like a tribalism type of thing. But, yeah, as for whether I came out with a different viewpoint, you know, I think Jason made a few good points about, I found that, you know, we actually agree on more than I initially thought in terms of, ultimately, yeah, the game publishers are the ones who need to be blamed, the ones who need to be called out. And I do agree that developers have it really rough. But I also disagree with, as I previously said, with the notion that anger is poisonous. There's a certain type of anger that's poisonous, that's toxic, but anger in general first of all, has been warranted lately. Let's get that out of the way. It's been warranted. And secondly, it lets the publishers and the game developers who seem to be like closing their ears off, it lets them know loud and clear what we're feeling, why we have qualms with some of the things that they do. And, you know, just the louder we are in unison, the more likely it is they'll listen. That's the basics of that. But, you know, I don't disagree that it's nice if, like, theories and insinuations come from a place of knowledge and all that. But in retort, I say that games industry makes it hard to gain any knowledge because Jason has access, but the rest of the world, you know, the consumers and myself don't have that kind of access. So it is ultimately, I think, up to the gaming industry to communicate and say, hey, this is what's actually going on, instead of hiding behind a veil of secrecy. And, you know, it was a while back, so I don't remember everything we covered. But I feel like at least towards the end we came to sort of we agreed on something, you know? Even if we didn't agree on everything, and I still don't agree with everything he said, there are elements that we agreed upon. I think we both ultimately do want to see the games industry improve. I just think our methods vary, and Jason doesn't agree with the YouTubing method of just, like, speaking your mind. And I know there are elements of that are not good, but overall I think it's important to have the YouTubing side of things to balance out the journalists who seem very, like, reserved about speaking out. Because they do depend on these companies for the review copies and what have you. And I'm not saying, I'm not going to claim, like, oh, they're all getting paid off. Like, I'm not going to engage in that conversation. All I'm going to say is that they're definitely more suppressed with expressing when something isn't right, whereas YouTubers just let it all out. And there is a place for that. I feel like I'm repeating myself. I apologize if that's the case, but a lot of people seem to be asking, so there you go. But yeah, one more thing is when Jason talked about how developers are feeling burned out, like people just hate them. Like, that sucks, and I do want to make it known that I don't hate developers or anything like that. But at the same time, the developers have to understand that we're paying $60 or whatever for these games. We are emotionally attached to them. And while I'm not saying it's the developer's fault, ultimately, when a product isn't good, you're going to get a grade. You're going to get feedback. And you have to be able to come to terms with that fact, that if you put out a game, even if it's not entirely your fault, if you put out a game that has clear flaws, it's not up to consumers to feel sorry for the developers, though it is good to have a sense of empathy towards the devs. But it's not our job to feel sorry. It's our job to question why the product shipped the way it did. So that's one more thing. Okay, that's everything from Patreon. And I know Joe Hunt here from Discord asked a question about Jason and Kotaku as a whole. I've covered it enough, so I'll leave it at that. Now let's get to the chat. Let's see. Soul Embrace 2010 Gaming, have you watched any of the videos talking about your discussion with Jason Schreier? Yes, there are a couple of people who decided to give their own take on it. A lot of YouTubers obviously side with the YouTubing side of things. And, yeah, I felt, you know, they have the right to speak their mind about it. I feel like the criticism I'm given most is that I should have, like, said more. Like, I should have contradicted him more. But I was there to listen, really. Like, I was there to give him room to express his thoughts so that then I could reciprocate with mine and so that people could form their own opinions on what his take on this whole thing was. If I kept interrupting him, I feel like that would be counterproductive ultimately. So you can see a lot throughout the video where I wanted to interject and I'm like holding back. But ultimately, I feel like people know where I'm coming from based on the things that I did say. Like, they understand my side of things, and then Jason got to say his side of things. And the feedback from YouTube, a lot of great supportive comments and some disagreements with how Jason approached the conversation. That's your opinion to have. I'm not going to judge or speak to that. All I know is that I'm glad I had the discussion with Jason ultimately. And I'm glad people can express what they feel. That's what I think the YouTube platform is all about. I think being able to express what one feels is important. And, yeah. And it also helped. The support definitely helped from the other YouTubers. It helped because there's definitely every day when I upload, and I think a lot of YouTubers can relate to this, is there's always like a seed of doubt in your mind about, oh, is my content any good? Am I doing the right thing? Like, even though my intention is good, do I suck? And does my content suck? Am I ultimately being harmful in some way? Did I say something in a way that was misconstrued? And so, you know, there was a seed of doubt in my mind after the discussion with Jason about my own integrity or something. And this is something, it's not just a Jason Schreier thing. It's just something that I deal with every day. Because I do want to be the best I can be, put out the best content that I can, and I'm always questioning what I'm doing. Like, is it good enough? Did I say the right things? Did I say it the right way? Was I too much here? Was it too little there? So, and it was good to hear some of the other YouTubers confirm my intentions without me having to tell them my intentions. Like, when Layman Gaming, I think at one point they started talking about how, you know, I don't look at things, like with the Jessica Price thing, I think there's some segments who think, oh, that makes me anti-whatever. I've heard people go as far as say I'm game gator or whatever, but you know, I looked at that issue from the viewpoint of, you know, I don't care if she's female. I don't care who she would have been. Just any person acting like that under the employment of a company talking to their consumers that way, yeah, they would be scrutinized by the company and maybe even fired. And so, yeah, for YouTubers to see that my intentions aren't toxic, or that to support me in that respect, for people who think I'm trying to be malevolent, rather than just present the news and say my opinion and then let you guys reciprocate. It was reassuring to be like, oh, okay, so they do get it, that I'm not what some people claim I am, that I am trying to do something specific here. That even if you disagree with me, that it's not me trying to be terrible or to just rile people up just for the sake of riling them up. So in that sense, the support was really nice. But in the end, as long as people keep talking and keep having civil discourses, and I do appreciate that so many people have been civil about this. As long as that civil discourse continues, you know, I'm happy. I'm happy with what we got. Let's see. Leshy Morph. If you were to become game developer, what ideas for games do you have? Honestly, if I were to make a game, one of the first ones I'd make is something to do with assassination. I want to make because I feel like Assassin's Creed, for example, has woefully deviated from the assassinating aspect. And I feel like I want to make a game that does a really good job at creating a game about assassination that's dedicated to that singular goal, like assassinate certain targets. And I don't know, the way I would do it is the targets are all preset. You have 5-10 targets in throughout the world. You can at any time go to one and pick them off, and they're all they have their own challenges and difficulties. I would maybe do a time limit where there's you have 30 days, in-game days to do it, and every day I'd schedule out exactly what they do. And then maybe have the player get some kind of newspaper every day to tell them maybe some information about where some of the targets might be that day. And I don't know, I've had weird ideas like that when thinking about oh, what kind of game would I make? So that's the best glimpse that I can give you of one of the ideas that I've had, and it's very vague and simple, and a good idea or an idea that seems good in your head doesn't necessarily translate when you actually play it. So I cannot say it's a good idea. All I know is that I would love to make a game that actually gives you a sense of being an assassin, a badass assassin who has to methodically tackle his missions, and that that doesn't suddenly turn into Pirates Creed or not to diss the latest Assassin's Creed games Origins and Odyssey. There's some good aspects to them, but I do miss the focus on assassinating. Let's see. Leshy Morph, as a spin-off of the most recent Spider-Man game, what would you think of a Daredevil game? Are you kidding me? That's an amazing idea. Why hasn't anyone done this yet? Hell yeah, Insomniac, get on it. Daredevil game. Obviously, you wouldn't have the kind of flexibility that you would with Spider-Man because, you can web sling and travel across vast distances really fast. Daredevil would be more grounded, It'd be more of a crime drama type of thing. But just what you could do with that sonar vision that Daredevil has. I guess it's kind of hard to translate into a game because the shtick about Daredevil is he can't see, but he can through like echolocation or something along those lines, like see more than what you would see with your eyes. You know what I mean? Like he can hear your heartbeat. He can know whether you're lying. And but so representing that visually would be interesting. But in terms of the mechanics, the gameplay mechanics that could stem from that, there's a lot of cool shit there. Like a lot of detectiving, a lot of, you know, mystery solving, and some badass combat because Daredevil fights amazingly. So I would be all down for a Daredevil game. Hell, maybe even cross over with the Spider-Man one. Leshy Morph, who do you think might be your main in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate? Sheik forever. I've played Sheik since Melee and have stuck with her since then. She's like an assassin character. I loved her since like her first appearance in Ocarina of Time. I'm like, who is that badass? And then when they announced that she'd be in Melee, I was like over the moon. And then I played her and the gameplay style was perfect. Like I love fast characters who can like chip away at guys, and then when they're chipped enough, just with one fell swoop, just like finish the job. That's kind of the character Sheik is. Just fast, agile, just bam, bam, bam. Hard to hit, but constantly like nudging and striking before a final ultimate blow. Let's see. Just looking for another question here. Tormenta de Plomo asks, I have a very meaningful question. Do you prefer cats or dogs? You know, I used to be exclusively a dog guy, not gonna lie. And I think ultimately I prefer dogs. They're just much more, I mean, it's a lot more effort to take care of them, but they do a better job of taking care of you. Like with a cat, you're like, hey, come here, buddy. And they'll just look at you like, what the fuck do you want? You know? It's like they go at their own pace. Whereas dogs, like, it's almost like there's more of a back and forth there. But at the same time, 2 years ago, my parents brought in a cat. And I was like, oh, God, I thought I was going to hate this cat. But after having owned a cat for 2 years now, it's nice. You know, you have to fight for their attention, but once you get it, it's like a fulfilling kind of, it's very fulfilling to be like, she's like laying down on my lap and she's purring, because that doesn't happen quite often. So the few times it does happen, it's like, it's nice. And cats you don't have to take care of as much. They're kind of much more, you don't have to walk them every day. They don't require as much attention, so it's easier. And yeah, they're pretty cute. And once you get to know a cat, they're not as bad as non-cat lovers might think. Because I used to be a non-cat lover. I used to be a dogs-only type of person. So, but yeah, I'd love to own a dog one day, though. But it's just right now I don't have the time to take care of a dog, so. But yeah, and I don't know, I like both at this point. I used to be dogs only, and I probably prefer dogs more. If I had to choose, I would choose a dog. But I don't mind cats at all now. Now that I've had a chance to have them and walking around the house for 2 years or so. Kenny Jones, what's your opinion of Kanye West liking Cyberpunk 2077's official Twitter feed? Is there a possibility CD Projekt Red will have celebrities contribute to the soundtrack similar to Red Dead 2 soundtrack? I don't know what to make of that, honestly. Kanye West is an enigma in the way he behaves, so I don't know what's on his mind. Nobody knows what's on his mind. Will they bring him on? If the music fits the cyberpunk kind of mood, if he can do some synthy kind of cyberpunky soundtrack or music, then maybe. And that's not to say that, you know, like rap doesn't belong in the world of Cyberpunk 2077. I mean, it takes place in a alternate version of America, so all kinds of soundtracks could permeate. But I know to evoke that cyberpunk feel, especially Mike Pondsmith's version, rock and roll is a big one. Synthy kind of electronic music is a big one. And so if Kanye can develop something like that, maybe. I don't know. Soul Embrace 2010 Gaming, do you think Death Stranding will make an appearance at the Game Awards next week? Yes, absolutely. I'm pretty confident that hopefully that they'll show gameplay. Like, not just a glimpse of gameplay, not a teaser, that with this we'll finally understand how this game plays, what it's all about, why we should be looking forward to it. Because right now we're still at a phase where it's just like, it looks interesting, but what is it? Tormenta de Plomo, when was the last time a game seriously surprised you with new mechanics or things that you've never seen before or expected in a game? Oh, that's a tough one. I can't think of one right now. I think Dead Cell surprised me in how good it was. Like, I never knew you could meld the Metroidvania style of gameplay with a roguelike system in such an efficient way. That turned out to be a lot more fun than I thought. God of War really impressed me. Like, it impressed me way more than I even initially thought. It was way more gorgeous than I expected. I thought for sure it would get like a graphical downgrade because it looked too good back when they announced it at E3, but it actually got a graphical upgrade. And I was surprised at how well the combat translated, how good it felt, just how solid and passionately put together that was. That was a work of art right there, God of War. My personal game of the year. So that's all I got for now that I can currently remember, but I feel like I have better responses that are like locked way back in there in my subconscious. Okay. Let's see. I've only got a couple minutes left. This went on for a little longer than I thought it would. Oh, Stephen McDevitt asks, what do you think of Adi Sakar producing a new Devil May Cry anime for Netflix? It would help fill the void with Disney moving all their Marvel stuff to Disney Plus, to the streaming service. First of all, the cancellation of Daredevil is a damn shame. I do hope the rumors are true that Disney will pick right back up and just produce the shows on their streaming site. And I hope that it won't creatively change anything, because apparently the folks making the show had everything laid out for season 4 before they were notified that they were canceled. So I hope it is a transition rather than a this is where it stops. For Devil May Cry anime, hell to the yes to that. Isn't it supposed to be like a, hold on, crossover? I feel like I heard it was a crossover with Castlevania. Yeah. That's what I'm hearing. I don't know much more beyond that, but if they can cross over that shit, hell yeah, that's the perfect idea for a crossover right there. So, how do I feel about it? I feel amazing, because I love Devil May Cry. I played all the games growing up, 1, 2, no, I didn't play 2 actually, I heard it was garbage. I played 1, 3, 4, and I'm super excited about 5. I even played DMC, which was not a bad game, but just, not to my taste either, in terms of the style that they went for. Let's see. I think I have room for one more question. Leshy Morph, favorite Disney film? Hercules, right? Just want to make sure that's Disney. Sometimes I mix up my studios. That is Disney. It should be Disney. Yeah, that's Disney. Yeah, good. Hercules, unquestionably. Just I love the representation of the Greek mythology on top of the... I mean, it looks visually gorgeous. Hades has a villain I love. And the music's, I don't know, pretty catchy. Yeah, I'd have to say all around Hercules is my favorite Disney movie. But there are a lot of great choices. I don't know, if I like go back and look at the Disney filmography, I might change my mind, but the one that immediately pops in my head right now is is Hercules. That's all the time that I have for today. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. I hope you all had fun. And yeah, look forward to more videos. It's been a pretty busy month. So I haven't had as much time to like communicate with everyone with Discord and Patreon and all that, but yeah, the holidays are coming up. Christmas is coming up soon. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday when that comes up. It's always nice to hang out, and hopefully you'll look forward to the next one. So thank you for tuning in. With that, I will see you guys next time. Yong out.